This is episode 55 with Mitch Russo.
Welcome to Men of Abundance, the podcast for those looking to level up their lives by hanging out with some of the greatest leaders and established professionals in our community, living a life of integrity, honor, and the abundance mentality. Prepare to pay it forward with your host, former Army medic turned lifestyle entrepreneur, Wally Carmichael.
Aloha, Men of Abundance. It is so nice to be back. I'm back on the mic. If you've been following me for the last couple months, and specifically over the last month or so, you would know that my computer went down. I didn't lose any data, but I was not able to log on to my computer. I had to send it in to get fixed. What a pain in the butt that was, and a very unexpected expense. I did not expect that, but hey, most expenses that come up in our lives we really don't expect, unfortunately. But it's how I reacted to that I want to share with you, but not right now. I'm not going to share that with you today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share that on Facebook Live. And if you're not on Facebook, that's cool, because most of my Facebook Live videos post directly to my blog at menofabundance.com/blog, or just click on the blog tab to see all of my prior Facebook Live videos. Now, this specific video that I'm speaking of that I'm going to be doing in reference to my experience with my computer going down is also going to touch on the importance of having an abundant mentality and being resilient during the holiday season specifically. There are a lot of issues that just tend to come up, especially during the holidays, and I want to help you cope with that. I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you before, but one of the things that I did while I was on active duty in the Army was I was a master resiliency trainer, which means that I had specific training on helping soldiers and family members cope with daily struggles and adversities. And as you can imagine, military members and their families deal with a lot of very unique issues, with deployments and families being separated, especially during the holidays, the fear of a family member being injured while they're deployed, or even worse. So needless to say, I have experience in this area, and I would love to share just a little bit of that experience with you to help you cope with whatever it is that you may be dealing with during this holiday season. So if you would like to catch that video live and all of my other Facebook Live videos, go ahead and follow me on Facebook at Wally Carmichael. And of course, you can catch the recording on the blog at menofabundance.com/blog. Again, I am so excited to be back here with you, and I'm very excited to introduce you to our featured guest today, Mitch Russo. And speaking of being resilient, Mitch has certainly overcome some serious adversity in his life, and he gets into that in this episode. Mitch certainly has a diversified background. He started out as an electrical engineer and then migrated to application engineering. He has been a CEO of a staff of over 300. He's been a CEO of a couple of companies. In fact, Mitch worked with Tony Robbins and his best friend Chet Holmes as CEO of Business Breakthroughs International. Unfortunately, as we talk about in this episode, Chet passed, and this was a devastating blow to Mitch, and we're going to talk about how he overcame that, and later ran a $25 million business from his spare bedroom. Mitch has also been involved in other very exciting projects, including a partnership with Kevin Harrington, launching a new brand on the radio. He has also written an Amazon #1 bestseller called The Invisible Organization, which is a detailed blueprint explaining step-by-step how to transform a traditional physical infrastructure into a virtual powerhouse of a company. Now, Mitch's greatest passion is helping CEOs get extreme leverage by building independent tribes of certified consultants. Mitch, welcome to Men of Abundance.
Thank you so much, Wallace.
I'm glad I was able to get you on the line. You've got an amazing background, which we're going to get into, but where are you at in the world today?
I'm right outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and enjoying the rain finally after months of drought.
Wow, yeah. It's funny how different parts of the world, I say this all the time, all this shortages and all this kind of stuff, and I'm living an abundant mindset, And I believe there's an abundance of everything. And so when one area of the world is in drought, the other area of the world is getting inundated with entirely too much rain. So, it's nice to be able to lighten that up a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, I have not been around those parts just yet, and I do plan on getting around, because one of the things I plan on doing here eventually is my wife and I are going to get into the RV world, and we're just going to hit the whole United States, because I've been all over the world. I just haven't been all over the United States. So we're definitely looking forward to getting down around that area.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely should. I have an RV. I travel all over the United States, my wife and I.
Oh, really?
Yep.
See,
yep.
I didn't even know that, and that's amazing. So there we have something else that we can talk about at another point in time for sure.
Absolutely.
So I like to start out the show basically the same way I start out every morning, which is with an attitude of gratitude. What do you have to be grateful for today, Mitch?
Oh my goodness, that's a long list. So first of all, I want to make it clear that I have some of the most amazing clients in the world. And I'm grateful every day to be able to work with such talented, incredible people. And I believe that everything I do is designed to help others. And when I work with smart, talented, powerful people, it's amplifying my ability to reach others and help them in every area that I can possibly do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I say this all the time when we're working with people. For those of us who get a chance to work with people and talk with people, life's too short to work with people that really aren't fun to work with,
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah. So before we got started here, I gave a very brief bio, talked a little bit about you, but I want to hear it from you. I'd like to hear a little bit about your background, a little bit about your background and, what kind of brought you up to this point. And let's get a little bit personal.
Absolutely. Well, I guess if you want to stick at least to my business background, I started as the CEO of a rock band in high school. And I was the lead guitar player, and I was able to generate a lot of gigs from my little band, and we played all over. And for a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds, we did pretty darn well. We had a lot of fun with that. And in fact, I would say many of the core lessons about business and life came from the work I did as a band member and as the leader of that band. So that was a lot of fun. Later, later I went on to do some other interesting things, and I started a software company. I bought real estate. I've done a lot of cool things. I grew my software company to over 100 people and then sold it for 8 figures with my partner, and then went on to become a professional options trader for a little while and had a lot of fun with that. And then when the market was crashing back in 2008, I was invited into my friend's company, Chet Holmes International, and it was there that we got the chance to put together a deal with Tony Robbins. And Tony, Chet, and I built Business Breakthroughs International, and that became one of the fastest growing coaching and training organizations in the country at the time. And we were generating about $25 million a year in revenue, and then the unthinkable happened, and my buddy Chet passed away. So that, for me, was a major life shift and a big jolt in the head. But, everything, I hate to put it this way after saying what I just did about Chet, but everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I think in many ways, the reason for me was that I needed to go out on my own and really, once again, make things happen, which is really what I love to do. So I called up a buddy of mine. I called up my friend Jay Abraham, and I said, Jay, what do I do? And he said to me, Mitch, you've got to find a way to communicate to others what you know about building a virtual company, and because your talent and skills can't be wasted. So I took his advice, and I wrote a book, and that became The Invisible Organization, and which was lucky enough to become an Amazon bestseller. And since then, I've been working on new books. I've been working with some incredible clients, but in a very specific way. And I could talk about that later if you like, but that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely get into that. And I appreciate that you stated that when Chet had passed away, how that transitioned your life and how you recovered from that, because that's one of the things that we talk about quite a bit on Men of Abundance is those adversities. That was truly a kick in the gut moment. I'm absolutely sure, because he wasn't just your business partner, he was a good friend of yours, and that's very difficult to deal with. And ultimately we have to pick up, we have to move on. Nobody that we're ever with wants us to stay stagnant and dwell on that forever. So I'm sure that was a very difficult time for you.
It was a tough time for me, and I was, of course, sorry, as you can imagine, to see him go. I still miss him all the time. I still believe that everything I'm doing could be done even better if Chet and I were working together on it. So I do miss him in that regard.
I'm absolutely sure. And you had a chance to, at the same time, you both had a chance to work with Tony Robbins, which, goodness gracious, how intense was that?
Well, I mean, I still work with Tony. Tony is one of my clients now in my consulting business, and I don't get a chance to chat with him a lot these days. But we had a conversation several months ago, and he asked me if I would help him with a project, and I said absolutely, of course. And I dug in, and we're working on something nice for the fall winter time frame, a new program for Tony.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that and hearing that, because he's definitely an intense individual. I just enjoy, I really resonate with what he does. I dig his style. Really cool guy.
Oh yeah, he's an amazing individual, and I got to tell you, working with him as intensely as I was before, I will say this: Tony is just like he appears. He's brilliant. He's generous. He's incredibly smart, and actually, he has insight that I'm shocked at sometimes. He has this amazing, like, X-ray vision into companies and people, which is very powerful and so rewarding to be in his presence.
I can imagine, absolutely. So, that was your kick in the gut moment, I'm sure. Do you have anything else to share in reference to a kick in the gut moment?
Well, you got to think about it from a perspective and try and imagine, really, if you could. I was feeling like I was sort of on the top of my game. I was at a place in my life where, we were owning this huge company. We were making great money. We were in a position where, frankly, very few people ever get. We were about to sell the company for well over 8 figures. We were about to sell the company for over $150 million, and potentially retire at a younger age, maybe for life. And instead, what ended up happening is that Chet unfortunately passed away, and none of that happened, and I was left without a list. I was left without anything tangible other than my experience and my intellect. And so that's kind of all I had. And I decided that I would give myself time, a couple of months, to sort of figure it out. And I did. And I figured it out. And it took a while, and I tried some things and failed at some things too. But actually what ended up happening is that I found my rhythm again, if you will. And that was a few years ago when I started building certification programs for my clients. And that's really what happened to me. But it would have probably never happened unless Chet had passed away.
Yeah, and one other point that I want to make that I get out of that whole thing is I'm always trying to ensure that our audience and other men, not just people who listen to the show, but men I come in contact with, that they know they have somebody to go to. They have that one or two people that they feel they can talk to anything, they can talk about anything with them, and that they will give them sound advice, not just, a pat on the back and say everything's going to be okay. Sometimes you need that kick in the butt, and sometimes you need, that just sit in silence. But you need that man to have somebody to go to. And it can be your spouse as well. Absolutely. My wife is my best friend for sure. But sometimes you just need that man's perspective, and you need that guidance. So it was amazing that you had that person to go to.
Well, I have to say, it was a time in my life where Chet and I spoke, I would say, several times a week at a minimum. And we talked about everything. We talked about life. We talked about business. We talked about our families, our kids, our love life. I mean, everything. And we shared everything, too. And I haven't had a friend like that since Chet passed away.
Yeah, that's rare to have, for sure, without a doubt.
Yep.
So obviously, based on what you're doing and you're helping a lot of people, what are some of the best success stories, I guess, or good news stories that you would be able to share?
Well, you know, if you have a way of amplifying what you do to affect more people, then that's a great direction to take. And, you know, I've always been looking, and I always love to find what I call these amplifiers. An amplifier is like a megaphone where you are able to take what you do and reach as many people as possible very quickly. So other than maybe standing on stage and speaking at an audiences, which I do and I certainly can, but what really is important to me is being able to communicate exactly what it is I want to say in the way I want to say it. And one of the things I've been focused on lately has been help people acquire a profession that they could be proud of and that can generate a lot of money for them. And I do that through my clients. And what I do is I build certification programs to create professions around my clients' products. So I'll give you an example. One of my clients is a fairly well-known guy. His name is Josh Turner, and he has a program and a company called Link Selling. So Josh went out there, and he's helping people get on LinkedIn and market on LinkedIn. But what he really wanted to do was find a way to get more people to do the kind of work he was doing. So he came to me, and we built a certification program for some of his best clients. And now there are people out there that he certified who have literally created professions out of thin air and are now able to go out there and perform this work that they could never do before and help other clients get on LinkedIn, market on LinkedIn. Well, that's an example of the sort of things that I do. Another one of my clients, who I mentioned earlier, is Jay Abraham. Jay is a friend and a client now, and working with him, we don't have a program yet, but we're working on it. And, you know, these are the sort of ways that when I'm able to work together with smart, innovative individuals and literally find a way to benefit the world through their materials and their programs, well, that just makes me very, very excited.
Yeah, that is, you know, I consider myself kind of easily amused, if you will. But one of my greatest, what's the word I'm looking for? One of the things that intrigues me the most is how people make money. All of the different vocations and all of the different ways that people make money. And it seems like every time I talk to somebody on the show and even off the show, but primarily on the show, I always hear about all of these different ways that people make money, like making money on LinkedIn. Who would know that you could discover this platform, master it to the point to where you can help other businesses master that platform and teach other people how to design a business around that? I know of a guy who designed a business around Twitter while he was in depression from losing all of his real estate, all of his investments, everything. He sat in his bedroom by himself and created this huge 7-figure business out of Twitter. It's just amazing, and I think that's really cool that you do that.
Well, thank you. And it's very satisfying when I find the right client, the client that truly understands what I do and has understood that by doing what I do, I help them not only make more money, but to literally spread the word and get more people transformed in whatever it is that they do.
So let me ask you this. So some of your clients, I'm sure, do they like come from like a completely different background, a completely different vocation, and then just take like almost, I guess you could call it a 180 turn or a pivot, and go a completely different direction. Do you have any clients like that?
Well, I think everybody probably has had a time in their life when they've done something like that. The clients that I have typically have been working in their own field for many, many years, who've been trying to make something happen for their clients. I like to call that a transformation. So if you're the type of person that can cause a transformation in another person or in a company, then, that's the type of person that I typically attract into my life. And the reason is because by causing a transformation in another, that means that usually they could figure out, with my help, how to teach other people to cause that same transformation. And now what we've done is we've created that amplification factor. So using my systems and my strategies, what we're able to do is cause major transformations in groups of people using my certification systems that benefit the company, the people who are being transformed, and the people who are doing the transformation. So it's one of these everybody wins scenario. And that's what I love so much about doing the kind of work that I do.
That is truly amazing, and it's truly, truly abundant. It's an abundant mindset that, even though the other gentleman you was talking about with the LinkedIn, he had a skill that he was doing very well at and helping other companies master this platform. But then he was abundant enough in his mind to think, you know what, I want other people to learn how to do this. I want other people to build a business around this, and went out and helped to basically build his competition. But abundant thinkers don't, they think of it as a beautiful thing to share that kind of information.
Exactly. It's a very simple thought process. If you've read a book like Acres of Diamonds, you understand that abundance is all around us, that literally the abundance you seek is right in front of you, and you don't even realize it.
Absolutely, just like the alchemist.
Exactly. So here's an example. So what I do is when I talk to a prospective client, I say to them, tell me how many clients you've touched with your work. And they tell me a number. Let's say it's 1,000 people. And I say, well, that's amazing. Do you realize that using what you do, we could teach a small percentage of the people in your client base to do it too. And they could pay you for that privilege while promoting you and your products and having them earn an enormous living just by working with you. So what people are shocked at is they don't realize that there's a 7 or 8 figure business literally right in front of them without realizing it and without having to create a new product. That's what I call abundance.
Exactly. And the scarcity mindset would quickly look at you cross-eyed and say, why in the world would I teach other people to do this? They're going to miss out on all of that. They're going to miss out on not just the income, but the feeling of helping another family, because by helping another man, you're helping a family, you're helping a community, you're helping a city, state, and so on and so forth. It's just perpetual motion to do that.
Exactly. And I see that all the time when I speak to people. What I hear is, well, if I teach them how to do what I do, I'm basically creating a competitor. Mm-hmm. See, that's scarcity mindset. And those folks are not yet clear on exactly what an abundant mindset could do for them by enabling others, not by disabling others, by enabling others to do just the same thing they do. So think of it this way. It's like, imagine if you could get 100 people to pay you 50% of all the money they earn doing what you taught them to do. Do you think you'd be better off or worse off?
So much better off in so many ways, not just financially.
That's right. It's so many ways. Imagine the community of people. Imagine the tribe you could build by simply teaching others what you do and then helping them get clients. Even if it may mean that for the short term, you may have a few less clients. But in the long run, you could make so much more money. You could have a loyal, vibrant group of people around you who would do anything for you because you have enabled them. That's what I love to see.
Yeah, me too. I'm just sitting here. It just really warms my heart. There's no other way to say it. It sounds corny, I guess, but that's just the way I feel it. It just really warms my heart to be able to do stuff like that as well. So, Mitch, we're at the point where we're going to pay it forward. Are you ready to do that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Hey, man, listen. Now, I know that you've heard the term leaders are readers. But here's the thing. Leaders are also listeners. As you're listening to this podcast, I know you like to listen to your content. I know you like to listen to amazing men and women. So I'm going to offer you a free audiobook. Well, not me, but Audible is going to offer you a free audiobook. And I highly, highly recommend listening to audiobooks as well as this amazing podcast and others. Now, obviously, I don't have to convince you that listening to amazing content is important. And you've heard all of the amazing books that have been recommended on this show. These men and women aren't just recommending these books just for the hell of it. They are recommending these books because it's amazing, amazing content. And if you're like me and you don't have the time to read all the time and you just want to listen to an audiobook on your commute while you're working out, doing whatever it is that you do throughout the day, I highly recommend you get an audiobook from Audible. Now, since I recently partnered with Audible, they're going to give you a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook along with that 30-day trial. On top of that, you are going to be helping Men of Abundance keep the mic on. That's right, because when you sign up for your free 30-day trial and get your free book, Audible gives a kickback to Men of Abundance, which helps us keep the mic on. So as soon as you get a chance, either go to moa-book.com or go to menofabundance.com on the podcast tab, and you will see the download a free audiobook today image on the left side of the screen. Click on that. Go ahead and get signed up for your free 30-day trial and get your free book and help Men of Abundance keep the mic on. All right, let's get back to the show. So give Men of Abundance 1 to 3 actionable steps that they can take today.
Okay, I'm going to try to go from simple to a little bit more complex. The simple thing to do today to better organize your life and start to really take action is to take a small action the night before. I'll tell you what I do every evening. I'm going to pop it open while I'm talking to you. Every single day, every single night, what I do is I review my goals, and I have goals for basically I start by setting my goals 5 years out. And then from 5 years, I bring it down to 1 year, then 1 quarter, then 1 month, and then 1 day. And so every night I look at my goals for that day and I ask myself, did I accomplish my goals for today? And then I reorganize that list to bring the top 5 goals for that day or that week into the next day. So in the morning when I get up, I make my bulletproof coffee, I sit down, I review my goals again. Every day I review my goals. I keep my goals top of mind, and I look at that list and say, what is the most important, most valuable thing I can do today to serve myself, my family, my clients, my community? And that's how I do it. That's the thing I do every single day. And at this point, I don't even think about it anymore. I just do it. It's just part of my daily routine and my nature. And I love how it works. It serves me well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I want to make a point about that. What you just said at the very end is that you don't even think about it anymore. At some point, Men of Abundance, your habits become who you are. And they're no longer habits. They're just who you are. And that's beautiful. I love what you do there. So I know quite a few of those are, in fact, daily habits that you do. But what daily habits make the biggest impact in your life?
The review of my goals and reprioritizing for the next day. That is probably the most powerful thing I do.
And I'll admit, that's one of the things that was hardest for me, and I'm still struggling with that, quite frankly, to every single day write down my goals. I do it. It's just not as consistent as I know I should be, and that's something that I do struggle with. So it's not quite, I haven't gotten past that habit and certainly haven't made it exactly who I am, and I talk about it all the time, partly because I want to keep reminding myself to do that. Because I know the value of it.
You know what? For those who are thinking about, I don't know if I want to do this, or it doesn't sound like something I could do, ask yourself this question. Am I worth 5 minutes a day? And that's all it takes. It takes 5 minutes. Are you worth actually dedicating 5 minutes of your day to spend on yourself, on your future? That, to me, is the way I think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So what book would you recommend to our abundant leaders, and why?
Well, let's start with the book that I think really highlights abundance in every possible way. And that's Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. I don't really know that, and The Strangest Secret. The Strangest Secret is a very short book, but it really, really drives home the most important part of what the message is, and that is you are what you think. And you could change who you are by changing your thinking. There isn't another way to put it. There isn't a better way to say it. There isn't a piece of wisdom that has been more valuable to me than that simple little concept.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Napoleon Hill drives that home again and again and again in that book. And I will have that. If you don't, that book has been recommended so many times, not just on my show, but in so many other ways. It's the oldest book I still have on my library, but I will have that listed in the show notes at menofabundance.com, and you can just go there and basically you can find that book anywhere. I think you can even find it online at this point. It's been duplicated so many times.
Yeah, it's probably a free download somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't doubt that. But truthfully, it's one of those things that if you can internalize that simple idea of you are what you think, and spot your thinking when it happens, notice literally when you are in a place where you are not benefiting yourself, your life, or your family with your thinking, and change it, it can really completely change the direction of your life.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. And once you make that decision, you basically set yourself free.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So I have one last question for you, Mitch, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask just about everybody, and that is, what does living a life of abundance mean to you?
Here's what it means to me. It means that no matter what, no matter where I am, no matter whether I lost everything or not, I know that I can always earn a living, be happy, and create the life that I want. What I have is not who I am. Who I am creates what I have.
Wow, that's really profound. I love that you said that, about that you know that no matter what you do, you can make a living.
Yeah.
And that's based off of your skills that you've accumulated at this point. Is that also based off, and I'm assuming, excuse me, and I'm assuming that's also based off of the connections that you have in your network. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, when you're working hard to connect with great people, they understand how hard you're working, and they actually want to support you. And that's what I find all the time. Great people love to be surrounded by other great people. You are, in fact, the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think that's nothing I've made up, that you've heard that before. Mm-hmm. And it's the truth. The 5 people you spend the most time with. And by the way, if Napoleon Hill turns out to be one of those people because you spend time reading his materials, then let that be one of those people. Because there's nothing more valuable than being valuable yourself to others.
Very good point. Exactly. Very good point. So, Mitch, we're going to close this up. And before we do, I'd love for you to leave us with a parting piece of guidance and any way that we can get in touch with you and anything that you have going on.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. Never stop selling. This is a simple piece of advice, and I know that some people who are listening to this program might say, well, that doesn't apply to me. And I want to let you know it does. It applies to all of us. We always must continue to be promoting who we are and what we do. And if we never stop selling, we will always be able to earn a living and have the life that we want.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And how can we get in touch with you?
Sure. I mean, the best way would be to start with my website, which is MitchRusso.com, MitchRusso.com. And from there, you could buy my book. You can see what I'm doing with certification programs. You could explore I have about 80 articles on business building and solving problems on my website. Please avail yourself of my posts, because I think they can help others who read them.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I will have that link and all the other links we mentioned in this conversation at the show notes at menofabundance.com. Just search Mitch in the search bar, and this episode will pop right up. And that's all we have for today, Mitch. I appreciate your time, man.
My pleasure. Thanks again, Wallace.
All right, thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, all of you abundant leaders, thanks for sticking around to the end. I want to let you know that this conversation was actually recorded on October 20th. And as I mentioned in the conversation with Mitch, at that time I had been struggling with actually writing down my goals every day. I always kept them at the forefront of my mind. Just like every morning, I have an attitude of gratitude and I give thanks to what I have and the people in my life and many other things. But I was having a hard time writing my goals down. Since then, I have been consistent in writing my goals down every single morning and some evenings, but every single morning I've been writing my goals down, and I am here to tell you it is making one hell of a difference. I can't express how important it is to write your goals down and have them in front of you every single day. Paste them to the mirror when you're shaving, brushing your teeth, whatever it is, so that you can see your goals, but also write them down every single day. Since I've been writing those goals down, just in the last month, amazing things have happened, and I just can't explain it. I just can't. There's some things you just cannot explain. All I can tell you is get in the habit of writing your goals down every single day. Get a journal, write it in the same book, and if you don't have the book with you, write it on a piece of paper, stick it in your pocket, throw it away, do whatever you want to do with it, but every single day write those goals down. All right, have an amazing day today. Have an amazing week. Go out and live your life of abundance, and make sure to pay it forward.
That's all for today, Abundance Leaders. For more about our guests and the powerful information we shared with you today, be sure to sign up for our mailing list at menofabundance.com. We appreciate your time and look forward to hanging out with you on our next episode. So until then, be sure to pay it forward and live your life of abundance.